it's Bri, and I watched the first 2 episodes of Baddies Midwest, so you don't have to. I made sure to take notes so I could clock all the tea, and we're gonna talk about it, baby. If you've been here before, thanks for stopping by. And if you're new here, go ahead and click that red button and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell for notifications, because I know after I'm done, you guys are gonna want to see Bri all the time, every time I upload. So girl, I just got done watching episode 1 and 2 because I had to refresh my memory, bitch. I got my blunt because watching episode 1 and 2 had me stressed out all over again. But it's okay because we're gonna get into it. This season, the baddies are back again, and this time they're taking us on a tour of the Midwest, visiting Chicago, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Indianapolis, St. Louis, and they'll be wrapping up the season in Honolulu, Hawaii, because we love a girl's trip. I want to let you guys know right now, I did not watch the entire season of Baddies Caribbean. I only watched the reunion episodes because I kind of felt like everything I needed to know about the Baddies Caribbean season, I pretty much already found out through TikTok or Twitter. So I really didn't see the point in going back and watching the entire season. I only cared about the reunion because I was nosy. I wanted to know what happened between Tommy and Bobby Lights. But I'm happy that I decided to tune in this season because I don't know, girl, my feminine intuition is telling me that this season is about to get messy.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Immediately at the beginning of the episode, we find out that the rumors are true. Tommy Lee actually did bring a firearm on set while they were filming Baddies Midwest. Technically, it was not a real gun. It was a BB gun. I feel like whether it was a real gun or not, Tommy is out of her mind. Like, she needs to get help immediately. And I'm gonna tell you why I feel this way. Now, I already told you guys I did not watch Baddies Caribbean. I only watched the reunion. And I watched the reunion because I was trying to see what happened with Tommy and Bobby. I was like, yeah, Tommy is doing drugs. Because me personally, I like to have me a drink or two. When it comes to a drink, Brianna Lay is gonna have it. Like, let's just be real here. When I watched that Baddies Caribbean reunion, Tommy was giving me way more than alcohol. It was definitely giving drug addict. Like, the way that she was acting was very erratic, and it got to the point that she was getting on my nerve so bad I was hate watching her. I was watching her in absolute disgust because she's embarrassing. Tommy definitely left a bad taste in my mouth after that Baddies Caribbean reunion. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this bitch? But anyway, this episode starts off with a bang. They get straight to business and show us Tommy pulling out the gun on her cast members. Then the returning cast makes their entrance, reuniting on the private jet to kick off the season. And Natalie did not waste any time letting us know this season she is not here to make friends. She is strictly here to run up a bag. We already knew that, but I appreciate the honesty. Scotty pulls up.
Cute and pretty much fashion on the scene. Fashion on the scene. Fashion on the scene.
I'm not too crazy about Scotty. I don't feel like the role that Scotty plays on Baddies is that important or that major where she needs to come back every single season. But we already know how Scotty secured her spot, so we don't really need to clock her tea, okay? We know why Scotty is on Baddies in real life. I'm not gonna say too much. We're just gonna see what she's giving this season. Jayla pulls up. In her confessional, she introduces herself as your favorite baddie. And I'm not even trying to be like that, but I have never heard anybody say that Jayla is their favorite baddie. I'm not saying that there's not a bitch out there that doesn't ride for Jayla. I'm just saying I never met the bitch and I never read her tweets, and I never seen a TikTok of anybody saying, wow, Jayla is my fave. So I don't even know why she got in her confessional and said that. Bitch, you nobody favorite. Anna, Biggie, and Taseki all pulled up to the private jet together, and I'm not gonna lie, it definitely was a vibe. They pulled up very much lit. I would love to be a part of that friend group. And then Rolly pulls up last but not least in that little dress from the TikTok shop. And I could honestly say Rolly looks good. Like that red outfit that she had on with the fur around the wrist and that blonde wig that she was wearing with the highlights, it was definitely giving wealthy woman. And I am proud of Rolly's glow up. I love to see it. So at this point, everybody that matters is on the PJ, turning up. Everybody's taking shots. It's a lot of ass shaking going on. Out of nowhere, Natalie decides that she's gonna drop this bomb and tell all the girls that they will be making a pit stop in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And immediately you can tell that everybody is like, why are we going to Oklahoma? Like the whole vibe on the plane shifted. And that's when Natalie tells the girls Krishan is out of jail. And Krishan reached out to Natalie and asked Natalie if she could be a part of the Baddies experience. So Natalie agreed, and they were gonna fly out there. They were basically gonna give Krishan some camera time because Natalie did bring up the fact Krishan wanted to get some money. So that's why I said it like that. I feel like the whole reason they went to Oklahoma was so Krishan could get her coins and her clout. She was locked up for Baddies Caribbean. So Krishan basically needs us to care about her again. Krishan is about to come out with this new show on Zeus Network that basically is going to document her journey as a born-again Christian. So I see what they were doing. They could try to make it seem like their intentions were pure and they just wanted to check up on Krishan and they wanted to meet the baby, and Krishan and Taseki are family, and at the end of the day, family comes first. Like, let's be real here. Y'all need a viral moment.
Clock that T.
Clock it.
Clock that T.
Clock it.
Clock that T.
Y'all need people talking about the show. Y'all need people talking about Zeus Network. That's why y'all decided to have this sit down with Krishan. So at this point, all eyes are on Taseki, and she basically lets everybody know, like, I never got in a fight with my sister in my life. And the first fight I ever have with her, I get jumped. I still have PTSD over the situation. She was like, at this point, we're thousands of feet in the air. There's nothing I can do about the situation. It's not like we're gonna turn the plane around. So let's just get this over with. The other girls chime in and they start giving their 2 cents. And they're like, you guys are family and y'all deserve to have a conversation. And I just felt like it was a bunch of BS. I don't feel like it was really genuine at all. Because at the end of the day, this is Zeus Network. This is Baddies, bitch. This is not Ayanla Fix My Life. You guys can't never sit down and have a conversation woman to woman. It always ends up in a physical altercation. And we're supposed to believe that we're gonna get a peaceful resolution out of Taseki sitting down with Krishan and they haven't even talked to each other in a year. Like, make it make sense. So when they finally land in Oklahoma, Biggie and Anna go to Taseki's hotel room and they pretty much check in with Taseki and see how she's feeling now that they've landed. And Taseki pretty much says the same thing that she said on the plane. She felt like she was disrespected in front of everybody, and so the conversation between her and her sister should take place in front of everybody. Now at this point, I already saw the viral moment. I already know what Krishan is going to say to Taseki during this meeting. I started feeling bad for Taseki because, damn bitch, you're basically carrying the start of this season on your back. I just felt like Taseki has already given Zeus Network so many viral moments. She literally knocked somebody's tooth out. And I just felt like they were setting her up, if I'm being really honest. I don't know, you guys. It was kind of giving humiliation ritual. You guys could let me me know how you feel about that in the comments below. One thing I did notice in that scene is that Anna clocked Krishan's tea, because in that moment, Anna was like, if Krishan was actually genuine about reestablishing a relationship with her sister, she's been out of jail for how long? Couldn't she pick up the phone and call you on the phone? Like, why do we have to have this conversation on national television? And that's why I would love to be her friend. Nobody else was talking about that. Everybody was talking about Taseki needs to be the bigger person and Taseki should feel bad for Krishan, but nobody was talking about the timing. Nobody wanted to address the possibility that Krishan was just using her sister for clout, for a viral moment. And I feel like Anna clocked that shit. So Scotty, Natalie, Rolly, and Jayla head to the restaurant so they could meet up with Krishan, so they could meet the baby and whatnot. And at this point, the confessionals are starting to really get on my nerve, because all you bitches know that this conversation is gonna end up in pure drama. And everybody was in their confessionals talking about, oh, I love Krishan and I love Taseki and I hate to see them fight. Be for real. I feel like Natalie was the only one that was 100% honest in her confessional when she said she felt like it was about to go up. I feel like Natalie's confessionals are really gonna eat this season. I feel like she is gonna be in her confessionals clocking everybody's tea, and I will be living for it. So when Krishan finally comes out, this bitch is wearing all white. She's pushing the stroller with her baby in it. And then whoever edited this episode had the audacity to put some fake ass gospel music. It was way too dramatic for me. Like, I get it. She's coming out with her own show. I get it. Y'all are doing way too much. Like, the gospel music was unnecessary. So when Krishan comes out, the ladies start catching up. Krishan reveals she's 100% sober. She has not been drinking or smoking. And Scotty is like, what? You're not even smoking, Krishan? And Krishan is like, I'm 100% sober. And ever since I've decided to be sober, stuff has just been coming to me. I'm so blessed and highly favored. And then they cut to Natalie's confessional, and Natalie is like, bitch, please. And when I tell you, I started dying laughing, because I feel like Natalie said what we all were thinking. Like, bitch, are you really changed for real? Or is this a fucking scam? Then Krishan starts apologizing to the ladies, talking about how she feels like she wasn't in a space to where she could really love them correctly, and she felt like she was on the show trying to prove a point. Honestly, it was kind of rubbing me the wrong way. I wasn't buying it. I'm just gonna be real with you guys. Matter of fact, let me be all the way 100. When I saw that viral clip of the conversation between Krishan and Taseki, and when I heard what Krishan accused Taseki of, I felt bad for Krishan, because clearly Krishan has issues. And when I saw that clip, I thought to myself, oh, so that's why she acts the way that she acts, because this girl has really had a fucked up life. You know what I'm saying? But when I watched the actual episode, it was really hard for me to empathize with Krishan. And not only was it really hard for me to empathize with her, it was hard for me to relate to her, and it was hard for me to believe her. I did not believe her. Now, I'm not saying that she hasn't changed. I'm not saying that she's a bad mom. I'm just saying whatever version of herself that Krishan is trying to sell, I am not buying it. Jayla starts crying, and she's talking about how much Krishan has grown and how her baby had a baby, and she just can't wrap her head around how much Krishan has changed. Bitch, that whole scene was corny to me. Like, girl, I was fast forwarding. Like, can we hurry up and bring Taseki out? Because all this other shit is extra. So then they start talking to Krishan about Baddies Caribbean and everything that she missed during that season. And that's when we get introduced to the girls that are going to be joining us this season. So they introduce Ivory, who I am very excited to see on Zeus Network because I'm from LA, so I already know what's up with Ivory. I've seen her do her big one multiple times on Now That's TV. She kind of grew on me. Like, Ivory, I gotta admit, that bitch is my guilty pleasure. I'm not even gonna lie. I love that bitch, and I'm excited to see how she's gonna hang with the baddies. Then we find out that Cash Doll's best friend, Jasmine Renee, I think that's her name, she's gonna be joining us this season. In my opinion, Jasmine Renee is like an OG Instagram baddie. She has a baby by a rapper, and her face card never declines. We're just gonna have to see what she's given this season. So there's another girl named Bad Dolly. She's from Mississippi, and she's gonna be joining the cast as well. I don't know who Bad Dolly is. I've never seen her on the internet, but from her fashions, I could definitely tell she's from Mississippi. Then they introduce Big Lex. I don't know anything about Big Lex either, but one thing I do know is that she has been making a name for herself online. A lot of people have been saying that Big Lex is the one that is going to give it to my girl Ivory this season. So that's one of the new cast members that I am definitely curious about because I want to see what she is giving. Next, we're introduced to a rapper from Chicago named Yoshi. I don't know who the hell that is. I did not watch the auditions for this season, but apparently she did her big one at auditions. She's a very petite girl. In her confessional, I'm not gonna lie, I was bored. She was boring in her confessional, but I don't know that girl. So we're just gonna have to find out what she's gonna bring to the table. There's another new girl that's coming this season. Her name is Emma, and I mean, she's cute or whatever. I don't really know too much about her either. I feel like something about her is very much Scotty coded because in her confessional, she was like, when you look as cute as I do, you don't even need to fight to get on the show. All you gotta do is stand there and look pretty. She said something like that, and I was like, it's not giving 5-star bitch. That's why I feel like she's very like Scotty coded. Like, you're cute, but you're not her. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I don't really know anything about this girl, Emma, so let me not sound like a hater. Now, I don't know how many girls are on the season at this point, but the next cast member that they introduced is this girl called Pretty P. And to be honest, Pretty P is giving me mommy vibes. Like, girl, you need to be at home with your kids. Why are you on this show? And the last new girl that they introduced is Summer. If Summer did not attack Mariah Lynn at the auditions, I would not know who Summer is. In my opinion, Summer should not have been casted to be on the show. Mariah Lynn was on 2 seasons. This is the first season that she will not be returning to Baddies. And you guys are gonna cast the girl that decided to attack her at the auditions. Like, that was actually lame as hell to me. I was very confused why she was on the show. So after they introduced the new girls, we find out that Tinkerbella and Diamond with the Body will be joining us again this season. And Krishan obviously already knew who Diamond was because her sister literally knocked her tooth out. Out of all the new girls that were introduced, I feel like the only person that Krishan was really familiar with was Diamond with the Body. At this point, they introduced so many girls, but they also share with Krishan Tommy Lee, Akbar, Krishan's sister wife, Jaden Alexis, will also be joining them this season. So they got a full cast. Now at this point, we're basically at the end of the episode. Taseki starts to approach the restaurant, and as she's walking up to the restaurant, Taseki runs into her other sister, Chastity. And Chastity breaks down crying. She's like, I feel like I'm in the middle between you and Krishan. And then we find out that Chastity and Krishan both have had children. Taseki hasn't been able to meet her niece or her nephew because she's been beefing with her family. And Taseki tells her sister straight up, like, I did not come here to fight. Krishan said that she has something to say, and so I'm here to listen. Taseki goes in the restaurant. At this point, all the other girls have left. It's just Krishan and Natalie sitting there, and Natalie is basically trying to be the mediator before she ultimately gets up and leaves the table. But remember, at the end of the day, Natalie is a producer, so we don't know if that bitch actually left for real or not. Krishan gets up right before Natalie leaves, and she gives Taseki a hug. So I'm like, okay, this conversation is getting off to a good start. Like, Krishan is being the bigger person, and she's extending an olive branch by, you know, giving her sister a hug. I was proud of her in that moment. I felt good in that moment. Then Krishan completely switched up. Now, this is the part of the video where some of you guys may not agree with me, okay? This is the part of the video where I believe I have an unpopular opinion. I'm not gonna break down the conversation between Krishan and her sister in detail. I'm just gonna tell you guys what I took from the conversation, because that's pretty much how the first episode ends. And then when you go into the second episode of this season, the conversation between Krishan and Taseki basically takes up the first half of the episode. Like, when I watched the episode again, I'm like, what the fuck? We're 24 minutes into episode 2 and they're still at the restaurant. And that's how I knew that Natalie was not lying when she said Krishan called her and was like, I need to get some money. Can I please get on Baddies? That whole conversation between Taseki and Krishan was 100% for clickbait. And I'm gonna tell you why I personally feel that way. Krishan and Taseki were having two totally different conversations. Taseki wanted to talk about how Krishan got her jumped. That's what Taseki wanted to address. Why did you get me jumped when you were pregnant? Why did you have your 2 fucking friends run up on me when I was already drunk? Why did you do that? We never, ever got in any kind of fight before. So why did you think it was okay to tell your friends to jump me? That's what Taseki came to talk about. Krishan wanted to talk about some family shit that we don't even know about. And to be honest, when I watched the episode again, I remember writing down in my notes, what does Zeus want us to do with this information? It got to a point where Krishan wasn't even talking about anything. And what do I mean by that? Taseki was telling Krishan directly what she did that night. Taseki was trying to get Krishan to take accountability for what she did. Krishan did not want to take accountability for what she did. I did not know what Krishan was talking about. Every time Taseki told Krishan what she did to hurt her feelings, Krishan was like, run the cameras. It's on camera. You created this narrative and you're just trying to run with this narrative. That was Krishan's favorite word throughout this conversation. Narrative, narrative, narrative. Krishan sounded like that one toxic person that goes to like 2 sessions of therapy and now they want to talk to you like they're on this high horse and they understand everything and you know nothing. Krishan was definitely giving like, I'm so holy, I'm so healed. Like, she kept saying stupid shit like, we don't have to talk about the past. Why do you want to talk about the past? I'm trying to move forward. I'm focused on the future. Let's talk about the future. But you're the same person that want to talk about what Taseki did to you when you were 7 years old. So I'm confused. You're accusing Taseki of talking about the past, but you talking about some even older shit. And that's why I said it was hard for me to empathize with Krishan in the first and the second episode. This bitch got bills to pay. She's out of jail. She has a newborn child and she has a lifestyle that she feels like she needs to maintain. I respect the hustle. I respect it. You're not about to get on TV and make me think that you're so healed and you're so over the situation when you can't even have an adult conversation with your sister. In my opinion, Krishan was beating around the bush the entire conversation. She was saying little stuff here and there that honestly really didn't make no sense. Randomly, she would blurt out, yeah, I remember what happened when I was 7. I remember when we used to play house. Like, bitch, what are you even talking about? That's why I said Krishan and Taseki were having 2 totally different conversations. When I watched the clip of that conversation online, I was on Krishan's side. I felt bad for Krishan. When I watched that conversation play out in its entirety, I was like, Krishan, you're a weirdo. I felt like I wasn't even looking at Krishan. I felt like I was looking at a bootleg version of Blueface. Like, all that gaslighting and all that manipulation that Blueface did to Krishan, she was trying to do that shit to Taseki. And it was not given. It made her look weird as hell. Because Taseki brought her friend with her. Taseki's friend and Krishan, they started having words with each other. Taseki's friend made a valid point. Like, bitch, when she was just coming out to LA to record her music, you were always with Taseki. So if you felt like she violated you in any way, why did you not address her in all that time that you guys spent together off camera? Why would you wait until she's built a name for herself and you get out of jail to address family drama on national TV? Like, why do you feel like this is the time and place to address something that's so private? And I feel like her friend made a very valid point. It got to a point in the conversation where Taseki was like, I don't know if you have memory loss, but let me refresh your memory. Let me remind you what happened that night. And make a long story short, Taseki basically said that Krishan had been drinking. Now, I'm not here to talk about anybody's kid, but ever since Krishan gave birth to her baby, the internet has been saying that something is wrong with that kid. I noticed that when Taseki brought up that Krishan was drinking while she was pregnant, that whole conversation just took a left, because at that point, Krishan was not trying to hear anything Taseki was trying to say. And it wasn't like the conversation was going in a positive direction anyway, but once Taseki said that, I knew the conversation was over, because Krishan immediately went into defense mode. Krishan was not trying to hear nothing that nobody had to say. That's when she started telling Taseki, oh, I see you're going with that narrative. Taseki's like, what are you talking about? What narrative? She's like, yeah, you're trying to make it seem like I was drinking pregnant. I never put my lips on any bottle when I was pregnant. That's a lie. You're lying on me. But look, if you really paid attention to what Krishan was saying, Krishan also said, I was going through some domestic violence stuff with my baby father. She didn't admit to drinking, but if you pay attention, she was justifying her actions. She basically said, if I was drinking, I was already going through it with my baby daddy, so you can't really judge me. That's what I took from it. Because I'm like, why would you even say that if you didn't drink? Taseki said that Krishan handed her a bottle and the bottle was already open. And if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then it must be a duck. That conversation played out way longer than I feel like it needed to. And honestly, towards the end of the conversation, before Taseki stormed off, I felt like Krishan was jealous. I'm not even gonna lie. I felt like Krishan felt some type of way because she was the star. She ended up having to go to jail, so she couldn't capitalize off of the Baddies franchise. Obviously, she couldn't film for Baddies Caribbean, and because she was in jail, nobody was talking about her. Krishan started bringing up how she introduced Taseki to Zeus Network, and she brought Taseki on her show, Crazy in Love. And it's the way that Krishan said it. Like, Krishan could have just been like, I brought you on my show. She literally was like, I brought you on my show, Crazy in Love. Like, why do you need to sneak that promo in there, bitch? We know what you're talking about, Krishan. She was basically telling Taseki, I made you. I'm the reason people even know who you are. And that's why I feel like Krishan was jealous, because Taseki kept giving Krishan the opportunity to speak her truth, to tell her story. And Krishan did not have a story to tell. I'm not even gonna lie. Now, I'm not saying that Krishan is lying. I'm just saying the way that the show was edited made it seem like Krishan was not really talking about nothing, and she was basically just there to make her sister look bad on camera. Even when Taseki Seki stormed out of the restaurant, Krishan was still in the restaurant bumping her gums. Her baby's head was knocking all over the place. I don't even have kids, and even I started to notice that Krishan was tossing her baby from one shoulder to the next like he was a rag doll.
One thing at a time, please. You always.
My fucking God.
I said what my issue is. Just that you can choose what you want. I can see all my issues.
His head was going all over the place. And I'm not even trying to be funny. If Krishan's intention was to go on Baddies and reintroduce herself and get us to believe that she's this brand new person, I'm not buying it. I don't believe it. I feel like she gave her cast members more grace than her actual sister. Like when she sat down with the first group of girls and she was like, I wasn't able to love you correctly and you guys saw me at one of the lowest points in my life. She could take accountability with her cast members, but she could not take accountability with her sister. That was just crazy to me. And that's why I feel like they really dragged that moment out so Krishan could get her camera time, because like I said, we all knew this conversation was not going to end peacefully. After Seki storms out of the restaurant, she meets up with the rest of the cast outside. She starts crying and she's like, I'm gonna take this to court. I'm gonna handle this legally. At this point, bitch, this is defamation of character. Like, you're accusing me of doing something, but when I asked you specifically what I did, you can't even tell me. Since you can't tell me on camera, we could talk about it in court. Once again, I'm not taking anybody's side, but Seki did make sense to me. Do I believe that she's actually gonna sue her sister? No, but I feel where she was coming from in that moment, because that's something that I would do. So at this point, we're damn near 30 minutes into the episode before the girls finally leave Oklahoma to go to Detroit. Now, when they go to Detroit, Scotty and Natalie, they walk into like this lounge and they meet up with Diamond the Body, Akbar, and Jaden Alexis. So when all the ladies sit down, they start discussing the Baddies Caribbean reunion and how Diamond got her tooth knocked out. And Natalie lets us know that Diamond's tooth actually fell into her lap. And so when Natalie saw that tooth, she saw the perfect opportunity. And so she decided that she was gonna hold on to that tooth. Now, me personally, I think that's weird as hell. Like, if somebody's tooth fell in my lap, I would be so disgusted. I definitely would not want to keep somebody's random tooth. Now, one of the funniest moments of this episode to me was Diamond the Body's confessional, when she was like, everybody is asking me if I want to get my lick back after Seki knocked my tooth out. And the answer is hell no. I am not fighting that bitch again. That was one of the funniest moments of the episode, because Diamond the Body was like, Seki needs to be fighting in the MMA, not on Baddies, okay? You guys, that was so funny to me. I really think that Diamond is going to be one of my favorites this season. One thing I like about Diamond, she's going to stand on business. Like, if somebody wants to fight her, even if she thinks it's stupid, she's not afraid to run a fade. And I gotta respect it. So Natalie turns to Diamond and she's pretty much like, I'm gonna mind my business, but I'm gonna let you know you're gonna have to run a fade with Rolly. That's when I found out that apparently Rolly and Diamond had beef, because Rolly got on the internet and said that Diamond didn't deserve a Baddies chain. And so Diamond responded and Diamond said, play with your kids, don't play with me. I really do not believe that that's a reason for Rolly to want to fight Diamond. That just doesn't make sense to me, because Diamond didn't even talk about her son. She just said, play with your kids. She never said anything directly about Rolly's son or about how Rolly is as a mother. In my opinion, there's no real beef. There's no reason for Rolly to want to fight Diamond. Like, it just wasn't making sense to me. On top of the fact, in my opinion, I believe that every single one of these ladies on this show, they are way too old to get into a physical altercation because somebody says something about you on the internet. I don't really think it's that deep, especially at their big age. But y'all can let me know how you feel about that in the comments below. So after I find out Rolly has beef with Diamond and Rolly Rolly wants to fight Diamond, we're reunited with the other cast members. Jayla, Rolly, Taseki, Biggie, and Anna. They link up. Anna starts talking about how she has beef with some of the new girls that are coming on the show, and how Anna had to block the girl that attacked Mariah Lynn at auditions because the girl basically slid in Anna's DMs and was basically threatening Anna. And Jayla is pretty much like, the show hasn't even started. How do all these girls have beef with each other? And to be honest, I was feeling the same way. Just how Rolly and Diamond's beef did not make sense, Anna's beef did not make sense. Like, the girl Summer that attacked Mariah Lynn, I don't even think she should be on the show, number one. And because I feel that way, I feel like she should have no beef with Anna. I feel like that bitch should just be happy that she's on the show. If Anna stomped you out at the auditions, just let that shit go, because you're on the show anyway. You know what I'm saying? I kind of felt like that was lame. And then apparently another girl is beefing with Anna, and she wants to fight Anna because Anna did not give her a ticket at the auditions. And I'm just like, where is Ivory? Like, when are we gonna meet the new girls? Because now y'all talking about some shit that doesn't even really make sense. So after the girls talk about the pending beef that they have with each other, the girls were able to share a moment of vulnerability that I actually really did appreciate, because to be honest with you guys, I feel like being on Baddies is actually a very traumatizing experience. Taseki had to go meet with her little sister, have that very difficult conversation just to continue filming the show. I can't imagine what that would do to me emotionally, to have a very difficult conversation like that with my sister and then go back to Baddy shot o'clock like none of that even happened. I feel like that would take a toll on me emotionally. So it was nice to see the girls have a moment of vulnerability, and Taseki just told them, like, a part of the reason that I feel like I could fight so good is because I've had to defend myself my whole life, and I'm tired of being strong. Like, I don't want to be strong anymore. I want to live my life. I want to be happy. And when Taseki was being vulnerable, that made Rolly break down and cry, because Rolly's like, I know what it feels like to be the strong one in the family, and I know what it feels like to basically be the breadwinner of my family and still get treated like shit. When Rolly started crying, Jayla started crying, and it was just really nice to see that side of the girls, because unlike the conversation with Taseki and Krishan, I actually felt like that moment was genuine. Now, once again, this is why I believe that filming Baddies is not for the weak. That experience has to be crazy as hell, because after they have that sister moment, they go and meet up with the other girls. Everybody is vibing out, they're taking shots, but it's pretty obvious that Rolly came to fight. Like, her wig was braided up. I never see nobody braid their wig up like that. Now, we already know how Zeus Network gets down. If there's some drama, they're gonna drag it out. So at the end of the episode, if I'm not mistaken, they were all supposed to meet up so they could get ready to go out. I mean, this show is crazy. These girls meet up, drink alcohol, get into physical altercations, and then they go to the club together. Like, that's crazy as hell. Basically, Diamond pulls up. As soon as Rolly sees Diamond, it's on site. They start banging it out, and that's how the episode wraps up. But I have to mention something hilarious from the end of the episode teaser for next Sunday's episode. There's a moment when Diamond the Body is fighting with Rolly, and Diamond tells Rolly, I fought Taseki, bitch. You think I'm scared of you? Baby, I was dead. That's the realest shit I ever heard. I was so dead. That was so funny to me, because you know what, Diamond? You right. You fought Taseki. You fought the final boss. You could take on any fade for the rest of the season, honestly. In my opinion, you got that. That line alone confirmed to me that Baddies Midwest is absolutely going to be worth the watch this season. I'm convinced we are going to be in for pure entertainment and viral moments from start to finish. I cannot wait to see my girl Ivory join the cast, because I already know she is going to terrorize that house. She's gonna shake shit up. And now that we made it to the end of the video, Aren't you glad that I watched Baddies for you? With that being said, if you guys like today's video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Support your girl. Get those fingers moving in the comments below and let me know what your first impression of this new season of Baddies was, because I told you guys what I think. So now it's time for me to hear from you. With that being said, I love you guys so much. I will see you next week in a new video. Till next time.